I still remember that sound. The knife touched the plate and made a small sharp noise. It was louder than the laughter around the table. Every time my sister laughed, it hurt a little more inside. Her name is Melissa. My parents love her so much. They always call her the perfect daughter. Smart, pretty, successful. And me, I am Lena. The one who came into this family later. The one who never truly fit in any of the pictures on the wall. Before I start, please subscribe and support this channel for more true stories like this one. That night we were at a nice restaurant to celebrate Melissa's new job. The lights were bright, the room was full of soft music, and the tables had shiny plates and glasses. Everything looked fancy, but I felt small. When I sat down, Melissa smiled in a way that looks kind but feels cruel. She said I was sitting in the wrong seat, that the place was for family. Everyone laughed like it was just a joke. Mom laughed first, then Dad. Even my brother joined in. I smiled too. Because that's what I always did. I smiled so no one could see how much it hurt. The only person who didn't laugh was Grandma Eleanor. She sat at the end of the table, quiet, just watching. Her eyes were calm but strong. Dinner went on. Everyone kept talking about Melissa's big promotion. They talked about her company car, her office, her business trips. I just sat there, listening. When the waiter filled our glasses again, I tried to share a small bit of good news. I said softly that I had signed a new client, a contract worth $50,000. For a second, they all went silent. Then Mom smiled and said, "That's nice, dear," and turned to my brother to ask about his new car. The warm feeling inside me turned cold. No matter what I did, it was never enough. When dessert came, the waiter placed the bill on the table. Melissa pushed it toward me. She smiled again and said I should pay this time. She said it was my way of helping the family. The bill was more than $3,000. They had ordered everything expensive. I said I could not pay that much. Melissa said, "Of course you can. You just said you got that big client." Everyone looked at me, waiting. I wanted to say no, but I couldn't. Because in this family, if I stood up for myself, they called me rude. So I gave my card to the waiter. And with that, I lost months of savings. Mom smiled like nothing had happened. She said, "That was lovely. Let's do this again next month." I wanted to cry. But before I could say anything, Grandma Eleanor spoke. She said, "Sit down. All of you." Her voice was calm but serious. Everyone stopped talking. She took out her glasses and looked at each person. Then she looked at me. She said, "I am 78 years old. I built this family's money with my own hands. And I have been thinking about who truly deserves it." Melissa's eyes lit up. My brother leaned closer. They thought she was about to give them everything. Then Grandma took out a white envelope. She said, "This is my new will." Mom looked scared. She asked what Grandma meant. Grandma said, "It means everything I own, the houses, the accounts, all of it, will go to Lena." The table went quiet, then everyone started shouting. Melissa screamed that I was adopted. My brother hit the table. Mom tried to argue. Grandma didn't move. She said, "Yes. Because she is the only one who knows what it means to earn something." She said she had watched them make fun of me for years, and tonight was too much. She said, "You made her pay thousands just to sit here and feel like family." Melissa said it was only a joke. Grandma looked right at her and said, "Then this is my punch line." She turned to me and said, "Starting tomorrow, everything will be in your name. It's already done." Everyone started talking at once. But Grandma stood up and looked taller than all of them. She put her hand on my shoulder and said, "Integrity is not in blood. It's in behavior. And you have it." Then she told her driver, "Thomas, we are leaving." I stood too, still shaking. Melissa shouted behind me that I would regret this. Grandma said quietly, "Let them try." Outside, the air was cold and clean. We got into the car. Grandma took my hand and asked if I was all right. I said I didn't know. She smiled and said, "Then rest. You have earned it." The next morning, I woke up in Grandma's big house by the lake. For the first time, I felt safe. But when I checked my phone, there were many missed calls and angry messages. They said I was breaking the family. They said I would pay for what I had done. Grandma told me to ignore them. Her lawyer, Walter, said not to answer. He said they wanted me to react. A few nights later, at 2 in the morning, I got a text from an unknown number. It said, "You will regret this. We will destroy you." It had only one letter at the end, M. I took a screenshot and sent it to Walter. Grandma always said to keep proof when people show who they really are. The next morning, things got worse. My brother Kevin came to the house. He looked tired and messy. He said he wanted to talk. I told him I would listen. He said the family was falling apart. I said the family had broken long ago, and now they were just noticing it because of money. He said cutting them out was too much. I told him about all the times they had hurt me. When I was 12, he pushed me into a pool though I could not swim. Melissa told my school friends that my real parents did not want me. Mom forgot my birthday. Dad said I should be thankful for scraps. And while I worked 3 jobs to pay for school, they spent the money that was meant for me. He looked pale and said he didn't know. I said he never asked. Then I told him to leave. He looked at me like he wanted to say more, but he walked away. I watched him drive off, and I didn't feel sorry. Later that day, Walter came to the study. He said Melissa's lawyer was trying to delay the will. They were spreading lies that Grandma was confused when she signed it. Grandma got angry. She hit her hand on the table and said, "File a motion now. I want this done." Walter said she should rest. She said she would rest when I was safe. Then she told me she was going to speak to the press the next day. She said she would tell the truth about the stolen money and the abuse. I told her I was scared. She said, "Just tell the truth." The next day we went to her office. Reporters were everywhere. Inside, Grandma sat at the table and spoke with a strong voice. She showed proof of the money they had taken and the way they had treated me. She said I had not tricked her, they had. Then she asked me to speak. I told them I never wanted the money. I just wanted a family that cared. I said Grandma chose me because she saw who I really was. The room was silent. Then the doors opened. Melissa ran in screaming that I had stolen everything. Reporters turned their cameras to her. Someone asked about the trust fund. She shouted, "That money was ours. We earned it by raising her." Everyone gasped. She didn't know she had just proved the truth. They took her away while she was still yelling. Grandma squeezed my hand and said softly, "That could not have gone better." After that, the truth was out. People finally saw who they really were. But peace didn't last. A few days before the court date, Grandma died in her sleep. She looked peaceful. I cried for hours. At the funeral, they came again, pretending to be sad. I didn't look at them. I put a daisy on her coffin. She once told me daisies mean new beginnings. That night I found a letter from her on the table. She wrote that I was never a mistake. That I was her best decision. She told me to use what she gave me to help others who felt unwanted. Her words stayed in my heart. That was the day I decided to build something good. No hard words. In the next few months, life started to change. I kept hearing Grandma's words in my head, "Use what I gave you to build something better." So that's what I did. I started the Daisy Home. It was a safe place for kids who had nowhere to go after foster care. Kids who just wanted a home, like I once did. We found a small old house in the city. It needed work, but we fixed it up. We painted the walls bright colors, brought in furniture, and filled the rooms with warmth. At night, I would sit in the kitchen, make tea, and talk to the girls who lived there. They told me their stories. Some had been moved from place to place. Some had never celebrated a birthday before. One girl, Mia, said something that broke my heart. She said, "It feels strange to have a key that opens a real door." That day, I knew I was doing the right thing. Because I remembered that feeling, standing outside, hoping someone would let me in. As time went on, the Daisy home grew. More donations came after a journalist wrote about what we were doing. People didn't care about Grandma's money anymore. They cared about her dream and what it stood for. One afternoon, while I was watering the garden, a car stopped outside. When I looked up, I saw Kevin. He looked thinner and older. He walked over with a small box in his hands. He said, "Hi, Lena. I heard about the foundation." I didn't say anything. I just nodded. He looked around at the house, the flowers, and the laughter coming from inside. He said, "You actually did it. You built something good." I said, "This isn't about me. It's about Grandma and what she believed in." Then he opened the box. Inside was an old photo of us, from when I was little. Everyone was smiling, but I remembered that day clearly. The smiles had never been real. He looked down and said, "I'm sorry. For everything. For not standing up for you. For pretending not to see." I just looked at him. This was the same brother who once pushed me into a pool and laughed. After a moment, I said, "I forgive you. But I won't forget." He nodded. Before leaving, he said softly, "Grandma was right about you. You're stronger than all of us." When his car drove away, I sat on the porch and watched the sunset. For the first time, I didn't feel like an outsider. I felt like I belonged. Not because of my family name, but because I was building something that mattered. Grandma's voice echoed in my mind again. Help others who were told they didn't belong. And that's when I truly understood. Belonging isn't something you're given. It's something you create. 6 months passed. The Daisy home wasn't just one house anymore. We had 2 more in nearby cities. Each one full of kids who had a bed, a meal, and people who cared if they came home safe. Every week I visited them. We talked, laughed, and shared stories. It wasn't fancy work, but it felt real. One evening, while I was checking donation papers in my office, Walter came in. He looked serious. He said, "Lena, your father and Melissa filed a petition. They want to reopen the estate case." I felt my stomach tighten. "They're still fighting this?" I asked. He nodded. "They say your grandmother was not mentally fit when she signed the will." I felt my heart sink. Do they really want to destroy everything she built? Walter sighed. "They want control, Lena. They don't care what it destroys." I looked up at the ceiling. I could almost hear Grandma's voice saying, "Don't let them harden you." I took a deep breath. "Okay," I said. "Then we fight. But not their way." Walter looked confused. I said, "I won't argue like before. If they want a hearing, I'll go there myself and speak. I won't hide anymore." The courtroom felt smaller this time. There were fewer reporters, but the air still felt heavy. Melissa sat across from me, her eyes cold. My father wouldn't look at me. Their lawyer spoke first, talking about confusion and memory loss. I didn't listen. I had heard enough lies. Then it was my turn. I stood up and said, "I'm not here for money. I'm here for the truth." My grandmother wasn't confused. She was disappointed. And she made her choice because she finally saw what kindness looked like in this family. The room went quiet. Melissa's face turned red. My father looked down. I continued, she always said blood doesn't make a family. Love does. If any of you had given her even a little love, she would never have felt the need to start over with me. The judge nodded. A few minutes later, he said, case dismissed. Just like that, it was done. Outside, Walter smiled at me. He said, she'd be proud. I whispered, I hope so. That night, when I got back to the Daisy home, the girls were waiting for me. They had baked a cake. It had little daisies on it made of frosting. Mia said, for Grandma Eleanor. She's part of this home too. We laughed and cried at the same time. And I realized something Grandma had tried to teach me all along. Sometimes family isn't who you are born to. It's who you choose to build with. Months passed, and the Daisy home became something big. It wasn't just a charity anymore. It was a real family. The girls who used to whisper now laughed out loud. The walls were full of their drawings, flowers, stars, words like hope and believe. Every time I walked in, I felt peace. But sometimes at night, I still missed Grandma. I would sit outside on the porch, look at the sky, and find her favorite star. She always said, that one is stubborn. It refuses to be hidden. When I saw it shining, I smiled. Because that was her, strong, bright, and impossible to forget. One evening, Mia came running with a letter. It was from the city council. They said the Daisy home was chosen for an award for helping young people. I laughed through my tears. Mia smiled and said, Grandma would love this. And I knew she was right. That night, when everyone was asleep, I walked into the garden. The daisies were in full bloom. I touched one gently and whispered, we did it, Grandma. Your dream is alive. The wind blew softly through the flowers. Maybe it was just the air. Or maybe it was her way of saying, I'm still here. I smiled and said, and so am I. That's the story of Lena Grace, the girl who went from unwanted to unstoppable. Sometimes people think revenge means hurting those who hurt you. But real revenge is peace. It's when you stop chasing the love that never wanted you and start building the life you deserve. Because in the end, the past doesn't define you. Your choices do. Thank you for watching till the end. If you liked this story, please like, comment, and subscribe for more.